our communities, and certainly healing for a very diseased world. And of course, we'll talk about the ways in which together we can move our humanity forward for a just, verdant, and peaceful world, and indeed the life of our own posterity. So welcome, family, and give thanks for your joining us. Just want to, do a little bit of recap and sharing with you this evening. We're going to have a very, very special guest, a sister, who will speak of her own experiences, both professionally and certainly having came into St. Lucia in the month of August for our 28 days of justice and healing events and rituals. She'll speak about what that has done for her, what it means to her, and then about the potential collaborations that INI is already organizing for 2023 and Justice and Healing Part 2, the Justice and Healing Initiative Part 2, which will take place again in St. Lucia. We're building as a family, and we want to share the benefits of what a solid foundation looks like for the family, to the family, and with the family's involvement. So Bertha and I, as we move forward toward those initiatives, and with the conversation that I will have with our very, very special guest. Again, I want to recall for all who may have forgotten or may have not stopped by 37 Jeremy Street, right there in Castries, that we certainly have the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center. And we stand undeterred, notwithstanding challenges, notwithstanding atrocities, notwithstanding attacks. We stand victorious, confident in the victory of our own goodness and the goodness of our work against those who would seek to undermine and diminish that work. So, family, I want to reintroduce and invite you to come to the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, where we have a whole series of books on identity, on spirituality, on history, on culture, on the sciences, and books that resonates with our own physical, spiritual, and cultural identities. So I want to invite you to come to the center, to grab your books. I want to recall for you also that at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, we have the Food of Seven ITEL restaurant, where you can come and feed your physical structure with foods that are nutritious and nourishing, and that will help in your maintenance of good health. And if you're challenged with your health, don't forget, there is an ongoing mandate. It is the T mandate, and it's being administered at the Livity. That's Livitea, Livity Center, store, right there on Jeremy Street. And I want to recall and re-invite those who may have forgotten that there is the need for us to maintain good health, that you can come to Livity, you can come to the Food of Seven ITEL restaurant, and more importantly, to the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, where we do the restorative work for ourselves and our family right there in St. Lucia, and with the intention of spreading this across our great communities and indeed those who want to be served by this initiative. Again, I am Ras Dr. Wayne Rose, here to serve the good family, the deserving family, with whatever skills, whatever information, whatever life has taught I, and also to learn from you, because in no way is my learning complete, is my degree in life finished. I have many, many more papers to write, many more experiences to have, and so do you. So I welcome your sharing with us in this space. And do not forget, this is an interactive program. So I want to invite you to call in. And if you don't know the numbers for the studio, by all means, our beloved producer will assist in sharing the numbers so you can call and share, so that ultimately we can have an exchange of ideas that is beneficial to all. Again, blessed love and give thanks. Here's what we're going to do first as we await the presence of our beloved guest. We're going to just do a quick recap on our own framing of the month of November, which speaks to the crowning, the 92nd crowning of Emperor Haile Selassie I, and of course his royal consort, Empress Menen Asfa. I certainly am looking forward to having one's learn, interact with, know the history of Ethiopia, the history of the throne of Ethiopia, and the relevance it has in individuals' lives and in the lives of all people, not just people of African ascendancy, but all people throughout the world. So I will happily share that screen and that PowerPoint so we can take a look at what the optics represented in 1930 as Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Menen Asfa, and the Crown Prince Asfa Wassen standing to the left, over the left shoulder of Emperor Haile Selassie I on the screen. This crowning represented the grand coronation of the Ethiopian royal family, and it was a family event. Why this is important to us is many times we represent ourselves as the man or as the woman or there's the children, but as a unit, the Ethiopian emperor, the Ethiopian empress made sure that the next generation of their family was represented at the crowning. And he himself, the crown prince, was crowned as the emperor and the empress were on that particular day, making it a family event. And importantly, representing the optics of what the African family represents, which is mother, father, child, emperor, empress, and of course, a crown prince. This is important, very important, because even today, as we grapple with the idea of what family represents. And for some, it's a morphing reality. For some, a window, if you will, a crack in the perspective, in the orthodoxy of family has occurred. A crack led by people who perhaps are people of good conscience and good faith. But the outcome, the net outcome of that crack, as we have seen it as African people, I, we have seen a diminishing in the structure of the family. We see a confusion in the minds of young people who no longer identify with their Africanness, who no longer identify with the root and foundation of their origin. And so they're grappling with and gravitating toward different frames of consciousness and identities. And for them, they will have to work through their own salvation, work through their own situations. And if it's confusing for them, there are modems of clarity that can be offered, assistance that can be offered, counseling, even through the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, not to convince, persuade, or otherwise change the minds of people who have their minds made up, but for those who seek clarity, for those who seek an understanding of their origin and how that impacts their present and their future, then certainly we're prepared to share and to learn in the Ubuntu Rastafari cultural space. So I am pleased, even with the optics, the sharing of optics that one can see what the Ethiopian royal family look like. They are African people, people of beauty, people of dignity and integrity, and their modeling in image and conduct is what is left for us as the examples to follow in our family, in the administration of our lives, our work, our homes, and certainly in the administration of the world. You know, we love to say that black people is first and black people, you know, is important. Well, if we are first, if we are important, if we set the platform and the structures that others have built on, it is then time now to take the example as others have done and to build on those examples so that they can be beneficial to us, to I. And that is the whole framing of Ubuntu. I am because Emperor Haile Selassie I and Meninasfa and Asfawassen, the crown prince, because they are, then I am. And so my family, St. Lucia, you too are within the Ubuntu principle and must embrace your own reality as pegged to the origin of our humanity, which is Ethiopia, as pegged to the origin of our throneship, our kingship, which is embodied in Emperor Haile Selassie I, Meninasfa, and the royal family. You too must recognize that although we came within a colonial construct and impositions based on those constructs, the imposition of kings and queens on us, we have our own framing of what royalty looks like, of what the integrity and dignity of our African selves look like. We have the images. It's not a painting or a rendition from someone's head. This is a 1930 image, a photograph taken of Emperor Haile Selassie I. And I want to point out a couple of things that is important, very important, because at his coronation, the emperor received 7 symbols of power. 7. You're not going to see all of them in this image, but what you will see in his right arm, on his arm and in his hand, he holds, the right hand holds a golden scepter. That golden scepter was returned to Ethiopia days before his crowning. It was returned by the British. The heir apparent to the throne of England brought the golden scepter, which was stolen from Ethiopia way over 100 years before then, and he returned it to honor the emperor. And on that scepter is the emperor's name, Haile Selassie, which means power or might of the Trinity. His name was engraved on it. And remember the scripture, for those who are scriptural and scripture-minded and, you know, peg their reality to the Bible, remember that beautiful scripture that says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah until he, Emperor Haile Selassie I, born July 23rd, 1892, falls within the cosmic reality of Judah, the lion, Leo, and of course, the symbolism should not be lost on any of us, that he holds the golden scepter in his right hand, because it shall never depart from the Ethiopian royal family again until, and you can answer the until, eventually. In his left hand is what they call the golden orb, representing the world. And this was presented to him by the Abuna of Alexandria. Placing it in his hand, he suggested in language that the emperor rules the earth as above, so below. So his kingdom extends from the earth to the heavens above. Now, you don't have to take that as my word. The script, as read, as delivered in 1930 on November 2nd in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, is still available for those interested in history, for those who need a framing of history. And that scripture speaks to the authority of the man who sits on the throne of David. What his authority is on earth and the symbolism it represents to both the current, past, and future realities of the peoples of the earth. And this is why Emperor Haile Selassie I in 1936, when he went to the League of Nations, could say to all the leaders, current leaders of the world at the time, that he spoke to and for the conscience of the people. He reiterated his words in 1963 at the United Nations, saying that when I spoke in 1936 at the League of Nations, I spoke to and for the conscience of the world. These are important framings because many times our people, we grapple with these kind of realities. We don't know how to place ourselves in history. So we feel as if we're nobodies. We feel as if we do not have something of a reality that we can restore. Remember, our justice and healing initiative was about restoring ourselves to a framing, to a reality that no longer should be under the rug, that no longer should be kept in the closet. It should be advertised. It should be celebrated because we are the sons and daughters of the living emperor who sat on the throne of David. Yes, indeed. So, we want to take a small break and come forward, check in on our guest to see where she is at. But certainly, I want these points to sink in. And just before I take the break, I want you to observe on the emperor's head what sits on it. And when I return, we'll have a very brief conversation about the importance of the crown that he wears. Give thanks, family. Small break. We're coming right forward. Give thanks. Blessed Lord.
It is true. We're here to serve and protect residents and visitors alike. Like you, we want a reduction in crime. But no one agency can do it alone. Together, we can do it, St. Lucia. Let's look out for each other. Reach out to youth at risk, especially those under peer pressure. Start a conversation. Listen. Let's hear their solutions. Our St. Lucia has always inspired greatness. Crime undermines that potential. But together, we can secure our people, our communities, our St. Lucia.
My name is Patrick Bellino, better known as Bell. The name of my business is Bell Multi-Services, and the business is situated in Richform, Abuja. I am into different wines, but for today's festival, I came out with the Latanier CMOS liqueur. So it was a mixture of the CMOS and the Latanier wine, and it came down very good. The other product I had there was the High Grade, which is unbelievable. Latanier was always my leading wine, but High Grade has taken over all my different wines. So now it's saying that I have to produce a lot more High Grade. Okay, my number is 727-4188, and I am in Richform, Abuja Valley, opposite the Richform police station. some of my products are found at Red Dot in Grosville, Glass in Grosville, Island Pharmacy, which was known as Sink's Drugstore in Castries by the health center. You can get my products over there. There are other outlets down Beaufort side and fuel stations and so on. But the main place is Richmond, opposite the police station.
This is the year to be counting solutions reminded. We must not participate.
Non, moi c'est ma frère Emmanuel et aujourd'hui moi qui encourager dernier monde dans cette liste participer et supporter population housing census là puis ça bail qui bien important comme nous sont en nous toutes participer. Laissez enumerators là c'est moun qui ka venir avec petit papier yo pour yo sa prend information ka venir avec mando question ou peut quoi yo pas supposé mando. Moi ka font ça bien important. Question yo ka mando là c'est pas pour connaître ça faire mais yo ka mando ces questions ça pour aider pays cette liste développer en dedans bonne façon pas juste cette liste tout seul mais communauté koto ka wete ya. On nous mettre tête ensemble. On nous mettre cervelle nous ensemble et on nous répondre toutes les questions et bien quand il bon smile les filles nous. On nous fait ça nous paye by powers là by community et by country by service.
Nous ga compter cette liste, compter cette liste.
Yes, indeed, St. Lucia. You know, previous to leaving for the break, we spoke about what was on the Emperor of Ethiopia's head, a triple crown. Triple crown, a very important framing, especially historically, because he's the only emperor to be crowned 3 times. First, in 1916, he was crowned as Ras, heir apparent to the throne, and he started administering the governance of Ethiopia. And then, again, he was crowned in 1928 as Negus, and in 1930 as Emperor of Ethiopia. Very important. And so on his head, he wore a triple crown, symbolizing the trinity of power represented and embodied in him. These are things that, again, it might not seem to mean very much to people who are short-sighted. But I want to recall for us, especially those of us from the English-speaking Caribbean, that recently many of our family members were up in arms, mourning and groaning and feeling bad because a 97-year-old representative of the throne in England, a woman who ruled for over 70 years, she transitioned. And regardless of how you look at her and the legacy, the atrocities of her administration, her rule, her governance, atrocities against people of African ascendancy, people from Asia all the way through Africa, the things that they did, the robbery of resources and the slaughter and murder of people. I mean, that's another conversation, but that's real. That's what the history, not Russ Wayne's history, that's what their history, as they have written it, represents. But many of our people were up in arms and some were crying and they were in pain over her departure. Yet very few of our people take the time to become intimate with the history, the images, the optics, the energy, the work, the life example, and the many, many things that have been done to lift our humanity, to lift our people, our race, as we have been organized in racial groups. The many things done by Emperor Haile Selassie I. So we need to take a time to reacquaint ourselves. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a very brief clipping from 1930. A brother named Burton Holmes did a movie footage of the crowning. Emperor Haile Selassie I invited them into Ethiopia, and they came and they recorded. And what we have done, we have dubbed some of this recording so that you could see, very briefly, see what it represented then and what it represents now. We have our own voicing over it. So bear with it. Give thanks.
We black people and suffering people. The first time we do that, the last first. But no, we are the sufferers. God black. So we going to become a good people.
October 21st, 1930, the arrival of the United States delegation, including Herman Murray Jacoby, William Wright Hart, and Charles Lee Cook of the U.S. Department of State, attended by full military honor. Herman Jacoby, special envoy of President Herbert Hoover, addresses Negus Tafari with formal salutations from the U.S. President. Negus Tafari reciprocates in Amharic to the special U.S. envoy. Jacoby introduces William Wright Hart and Charles Cook to Negus Tafari. Rosses and thousands of their supporters continue to march into Addis Ababa from the countryside. Herman Jacoby and General Hart descend the palace staircase to an awaiting automobile. Envoy Jacoby and General Hart enter the automobile with their princely Ethiopian attendants. The Negus attended to the most important foreign delegations with a personal visit prior to the coronation ceremony. Here he arrives in his automobile to visit the American mission and Special Envoy Jacoby. General Hart converses with 14-year-old Crown Prince Oscar Wilson. Negus Tafari and his retinue part from their visit with the U.S. envoy. Arrival of the British Special Mission. Midday on October 28, 1930, following a 2-day journey from Djibouti, a train carrying the British Special Mission arrives. The Duke of Gloucester, third son of George V, followed by Admiral Fullerton, disembarked the train, and they are met personally by Negus Tafari. All international guests present, Negus Tafari performs a quintessentially African act, that of honoring his ancestors. He unveils the newly erected statue of Emperor Menelik II, his predecessor, his mentor, and father. Negus Tafari is also alerting the world that he intends to stand for the values of national unity and national sovereignty as put forward by Menelik II. After all, his coronation is at the Church of St. George. St. George is the warrior saint, and the church was built to honor the victory of the Battle of Aden. Inside St. George's Cathedral, we notice a four-post pavilion encapsulating the thrones of Emperor and Empress. More than 700 international guests and officials are in attendance. Negus Tafari and his queen emerge from the innermost sanctuary of the cathedral after breaking a night-long fasting and prayer vigil. Officiating the ceremony are Archbishop Kyrillos, Abuna Yeshak of northern Ethiopia, Abuna Sawiros of southern Ethiopia, Abuna Mikhael of central Ethiopia, Abuna Abraham of western Ethiopia, Abuna Petros of eastern Ethiopia. During the ceremony, Negus Tafari receives the 7 symbols of ancient Cushitic world authority. All symbols have been blessed by the Archbishop Kyrillos. Abuna Yeshak presents Negus Tafari with a scarlet and gold robe. Abuna Sawiros presents a gold and jewel encrusted sword. Abuna Mikhael presents the imperial scepter, fulfilling the biblical text Genesis 49:10, which states, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet," literally his loins, until Shiloh comes. "And the obedience of all nations of the world shall be his." Abuna Mikhael presents the golden orb with cross. Abuna Abraham and Abuna Petros approach with a diamond encrusted ring and 2 golden lances. Archbishop Kyrillos approaches with the gold triple crown. He anoints the head, shoulder, and heart of Negus Tafari. While reciting these words, O thou devoted Lord, we beseech you to bless this crown, just as thou crownest thy servant, our Emperor Haile Selassie I, with this crown of pure gold, so crown him also with the quality of mercy.
Haile Selassie the first lives and rules forever. Haile Selassie the first.
Negus Tafari is now the power of the Trinity. His Imperial Majesty, Kilmawe Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Itegi Maleki Georgis is now crowned. Aguna Sawiros places a diamond ring on her finger. Two senior priests present her crown to the newly crowned emperor for his blessings. Her crown is then put on her head by Archbishop Kyrillos. This is the newly crowned Empress Menen. The women of Ethiopia rejoiced at her crowning. Ulating, shaking the sistrum, and chanting the words, wearing her crown she walks. Wearing her crown she walks. Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen Aswang, enters the carriage. With scepter and crown, Emperor Haile Selassie I enters the carriage to join Empress Menen. The first lives and rules forever. Haile Selassie the first is the rightful ruler. Haile Selassie the first, the conquering lion of Judah. Haile Selassie the first is the rightful ruler. I am near David from the line of Solomon. In judgment, God's more fire and burn down Babylon. The mountains quake before him. Jah have his way in the whirlwind. Jah have his way in the sun to keep Babylon calm.
Blessed love family, what a joy it is to share this important, very important bit of history with the St. Lucian family. And for those who are joining internationally, we welcome you. But you know, this is my joy as a historian, and especially as a public historian, where we can take programs or we can create them and give a visual effect and share visual knowledge, not things that needs to be interpreted, but things that you can digest for yourself because you have visualized, you've seen it. And then perhaps you may have some questions. Then perhaps you may have some clarity. Now, some people may not have questions or not be clarified. And that's a learning opportunity, a teaching moment again for I and I. But that is what you have. We have the images of 1930. We saw when America and the rest of the Western world were perpetrating evil, vices against African people, especially in North America. We saw the representatives of European descent coming before the emperor, being met by him, bowing before him. Yes, recognizing the importance of the moment because of the prophecies that they themselves have been watching even more keenly than we do, recognizing that the foundation, as Psalms 87 says, his foundation is in the holy mountains, and that Jah loveth the dwellings of Ethiopia more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Yes? So, it's important, I want you to digest that then. And this is just a tasting, a synopsis of what types of programmatic we want to share with the family. And we don't do it because we want people to feel this nostalgia and feeling, oh boy, it feels good to see that. We want to share it so one will be empowered by it, recognizing that in your DNA is the formula for our restorative humanity, for the process through which we can regain a foothold in common sense, a foothold in just humanity. We've gone so far away from it that now we literally, when you're trying to log into anything right now, robots trying to tell you to prove that you are not a robot. So they have set a robot to tell you that you must click something to tell you that you're not a robot. That is where our humanity is today, where I have in my ear an earpiece that I can say, hey Siri, and she talk back to me. That is what our humanity is about right now. We have progressed in some ways, but we must be able to take a moment to reflect on whether or not that progress, that which we see as progress, if it is for the benefit of our humanity, if we're using it for the benefit of ourselves and our families, or we're just being consumers, consuming ourselves and our time in the idiocy of the little gadgets that we have designed or have been designed for us to consume. The images then, the programs then that we offer through the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, through the Calabash TV Justice and Healing Program, is for us to have even a moment, once a strong or once every 7 days, where we can be reflective on ourselves, our history, the knowledge that we have walked away from, the knowledge that we have been seduced away from, yes, by alcohol and sex, over-sexualization, and this gaming notion that we get lost in the virtual world, just gaming and gaming with gadgets. We could get back to the productive reality of our humanity and the creativity of our African selves, where we can recreate the world anew. That is what appeals to I and I, especially in the St. Lucian context, because as a young nation, still mature, very brilliant, but still in the context of an independent state in the Western Hemisphere, St. Lucia is very young. So it has all those opportunities not to be spoiled by the schisms of the past, but to think creatively about how we can design the world in the image, in the likeness, and from the perspective of our own clarity. That is my challenge to young people. And I pray that the coronation footage that you've just seen will assist in providing further inspiration, at least knowledge on what exactly happened in 1930 on November 2nd, when Haile Selassie I was crowned King of Kings, conquering Lion of Judah, elect of the Almighty, and the ruler of Israel. That's one of his titles, by the way. I hear a lot of confusion about who is Israelite and who is Jewish and all of them kind of things. We're not going to get into that on Calabash TV. But one of the titles of the Ethiopian emperor is King of Israel. So you tell me now, if Israel then is a reality, is a physical reality, then the King of Israel, the physical man, is Haile Selassie I. And if we are his offsprings, then that's, you make your own conclusion. But family, I was excited to share that with you. I want to also offer an apology because my guest has been texting back and forth with some difficulties, technical difficulties, joining the program. I pray we can have her on for the next scheduled program. But nonetheless, we're in the crowning month, or what we say the coronation month, November, where Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Menenasfa, and Crown Prince Asfawassen ascended to the throne of David, the throne of Ethiopia. And that is part of our legacy, your legacy, St. Lucia's legacy. And by the way, remember, I original framing, one of the reasons why I love St. Lucia so much is because the mitochondrial DNA that the British archaeologists and paleontologists called Lucy was found in the Rift Valley of Ethiopia, but they called it Lucy. They called the woman that they found Lucy, and they said her DNA connects all of humanity. And when I looked across my region, when I looked across the world, the only Lucy I saw was Lucia or Lucia with a title of saint. And so I love the Saint Lucy, Saint Lucia, because at least symbolically, even by the name and the titling, you represent that potential DNA that can link our humanity to a common sense framing, to a new ethos, a new reality. And that is what Ubuntu is about. And we're working onto the Rastafari Cultural Center right there at the Ubuntu Movement office, 37 Jeremy Street. Come and visit us. We're there. We're there not to skylark and just to show and tell and to, make money or whatever other things. Some people, they just get in all different kind of schism about intent. Let me tell you, without apology, our intention, intention is to share, is to reciprocate learning, because especially the young St. Lucians, they're brilliant. Yeah, some of the middle-aged St. Lucians are also brilliant. And the older ones, you have a crop of them that are brilliant. And some are just a crop. But regardless, Lucy, Lucia, Lucia is that mitochondrial energy that links our humanity. Let us take that as marching orders. Let us take that as the framing that allows us to see the potential of St. Lucia and to use that potential to build something that the world has never seen before, that the Caribbean has never seen before. And then let us use that as the model that will allow other Caribbean states, other nation states to emulate the good works and then to glorify the God from each of us, within each of us, that has allowed us to do this good deed, these good works, representing a good humanity. That is the challenge. That is a challenge for St. Lucia in the 21st century. You have a rich history talking about the conflicts between the French and the British. Why do you believe that these two very powerful nations at the time would fight so many wars to keep custody of you? Why? I know why. Because you are important. Not yesterday. You're important today, and you're important tomorrow, and you'll be important for the future. Let us then build that future. Let us come together. Come join Ras Wayne at the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center, where we can build on the ideas we already have. They're percolating. I can tell you, 1 million of them in the head. And a few are on the earth already being manifested as reality. But it is awaiting your creation, your input, your value to be added. Let us add that value then. Come and join us. The doors are open wide, and Ras Wayne bids you come. And by the way, there is nothing that you have to pay. So be wise and step inside. Come off of the sidewalk and come into the center. Grab a snack or a food, a lunch, or some pastry and some juice from the Food of Seven Itel restaurant. And then come upstairs, come sit with I, come chat with Ras Wayne. Come let us plan the next and the new. St. Lucia, this is what you're about. I want to remind you that this is precisely what you have been about and remain so. Yes? So we did the coronation bit. We're feeling good about that. We know that we have more to share, a lot more to share, but I also want to just remind you of some of the things that we still are seeking to ensure happens. We're still in the justice and healing framing. And as I declared before on this program, I'm going to remind you that we certainly have an opportunity for our 2023 Justice and Healing Initiative. And, you know, I was about to take a break, even though it's a little late in the program, but I was just informed by the production team that my beloved sister, Empress Avril Dwyer, has joined us. Empress, if you could get on camera so we can see you. Oh, look at that. She has been having a very good day. We'd not say it's a bad day, because now that you're on Calabash TV, my beloved sister, you know, joining I and I in studio, well, virtually, it's a beautiful day. Empress Avril, blessed love, how is the eye?
Lord, heart of perfect love, King. How is everything?
All is divine. Now that you're here, it is even most divine. Give thanks. So, I mean, we know we have expended some time and it's a little late, and I know my production team has been generous in the past in allowing us to go a little bit over, so we might have that generosity extended to us again. But please, for the St. Lucian family and for those who join us internationally, tell us about Empress Avril and the One Love Our Nation Foundation or organization. Tell us about that work. And yeah, start with that and then I'll come right forward, because I want to talk to you, my sister. Give thanks.
Yes, I give thanks. Give thanks. So first of all, I have to ask you to forgive me. I am delayed because Love Our Nation. I'm always delayed because of Love Our Nation. We have a fresh fruit and vegetable bicycle drop that we do once every quarter in Dania Beach for the seniors. So the children ride their bicycles and they deliver fresh fruit and vegetables to seniors that they have already canvassed. So they've already spoken to them. They've agreed to let us drop off the fruit and vegetables to them. And it's just a wonderful thing. So we're doing this on Wednesday. So we're on crunch time right now. So that's why I'm delayed. We were just trying to dot all our I's and cross all our T's. So yeah, but Love Our Nation, it's a 501c3. I'm one of the co-founders along with Yashembeth Harper and Jody Ann Wallace. And we started in 2013. And initially it was just to teach the youth how to make healthy food choices. That's all we wanted to do. And we wanted to do that by gardening. So we created the after school program, which is Earth to Table. We wanted the youth to understand that the food comes from their earth to their table and not just Publix or Kroger's or whatever their groceries are. And so we started at the community center in Dania Beach, and they housed us until just before COVID. And basically, it's just an after-school program that has expanded in that we're not only gardening, but we're doing homework first with the youth, because we recognize that unfortunately, a lot of our youth there are just being pushed along and do not have the basics of education, meaning reading, writing, and mathematics. So we started the Reading and Math Intervention Program, where we help the children with their homework. So a typical day would be they get over to the area where we are at about 2:15. They wash their hands. We give them a bite to eat, always a healthy snack. And then after about 5 or 10 minutes, they do their homework. Homework for about an hour and a half. And then, thank you. That's so nice to see. They do their homework for about an hour and a half. And then after that, they wash their hands again. And we have fun. So the whole idea is to have them understand that in life, you do your work first, and then it enables you to do what you really enjoy doing. So we have various programs, and we have a calendar on our website. And basically on Mondays, it's a free afternoon after they finish their homework. On Tuesdays, we meet with our voice coach, Ms. Chantel, and it's through a program called Developing Dreams. And she's teaching the children to sing, not so much because we want them to sing, but they learn how to follow directions and how to follow the directions specifically. Because if you don't, it changes the whole thing. So that's one of the things that we do on Tuesdays. And then on Wednesdays, we garden 1 week, and they're now growing a salad. And alternately, we're starting composting. So we have a compost coach that we've gotten all of the material together. And a week from Wednesday, because this Wednesday we'll be doing the food and veggie drop, they will begin composting. We have all of the material. They've already started collecting things from their homes to compost. And then on Thursdays, we golf. We have a program with First Tee Broward. So it's a partnership. They allow us to have 14 scholarships. So, which means that my children don't have to pay for any golfing, no tee times, nothing. The coach, everything is included. And it's such a wonderful opportunity for our children. I have professed that our children will never not be exposed to anything as a result of us not having the money. And give thanks and praise, it's worked out really, really well. Whatever it is that we put our minds to, we always make it happen. And so these children have all of these wonderful opportunities that ordinarily they may not have. We try to have field trips. We take them to Quiet Water Park for overnights, and just to try to let them know that the world is at their fingertips, and anything that they want, it can in fact become a reality. And so we're there to support them in any way that they need to be supported.
Give thanks, Honorable. You know, you speak so eloquently. I could just sit and listen and take notes, you know, but give thanks. Yes, my beloved sis. So tell me then, you came into St. Lucia for the Justice and Healing Initiative in August, and you saw St. Lucia. So I want you to just unpack a little bit of that experience and then tell me about the projection for collaboration, because, you know, we're always about Ubuntu, being and allowing others to be through our own being. And so tell us what is possible from the Love Our Nation collective to the Ubuntu collective, and then we can magnify it across St. Lucia and indeed the region. Talk to us, please.
Absolutely. So St. Lucia, I mean, it was just a beautiful dream, from being on Mount Kalish to spending time with you, Joanne, and the amazing staff that they have at the restaurant, all the people on the staff, the St. Lucians that we met. Just overall, it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. Not to mention the poet. Remember on the celebration downtown that there was a beautiful poet there, and she just recited a beautiful poem that just magnified the essence of being a Black woman. So it was just a really great opportunity. One of the things that I really would love to have is a type of an exchange with the students in St. Lucia and the students in Dania Beach. Very few of them have ever even left Dania.
Just for the record, Dania Beach, you say Dania Beach.
Dania Beach is in Florida, and Dania Beach is one of the oldest Black cities in Florida. So it was Dania Beach, the beach itself was the only beach that during the Jim Crow era that African Americans could go to. They were not allowed to swim on any of the other beach. It's similar to the beach in Miami, Virginia Key Beach Park. So it's a predominantly Black area. Of course, the gentrification is starting. And so the youth that we deal with there are primarily an underserved community where they don't get what they should get. So we're making sure that we are supplementing it. So it would be wonderful if we could have some type of an exchange program where the youth in Dania Beach could experience St. Lucia. And maybe initially it will be just by Zoom calls so that they can have some type of a rapport. And then in time, it would be amazing for us to bring some of our youth down to St. Lucia, and then vice versa, to bring some of the St. Lucian youth to Earth to Table, so we can have a really detailed and in-depth cross-cultural experience. Joanne?
Yes, I'm with you, my beloved sister. I just jumped off camera for a bit, but certainly that framing, that conversation is one that is exciting for us, because if we can have those collaborations, it potentially means youth exchange programs. It means exchange of ideas. It means growth and development, because we're sharing, we're having cross-cultural, cross-nation, and perhaps cross-ethnicity, whatever it is, we have the opportunity to share and learn, and that is what Love Our Nation is about. That is what Ubuntu represents. And certainly this is why we're in St. Lucia, and indeed we are here as a presence in the world today. So having said that, then, Empress Avril, as a wrap-up, yes?
Yes.
What then happens in 2023? Because we're coming back in 2023 for the Justice and Healing Part 2. So how do you forecast your input from Love Our Nation, collaborating with the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center as a benefit first to St. Lucia and indeed those people who join INI? Please speak to that.
Right. So we were thinking about coming back in December during the holidays and making it like a working holiday, perhaps meeting with some of the local youth, some of the organizations, Joanne, that you can share with us. And then we also wanted to take a ferry to Martinique and any of the neighboring areas so that we can become familiar with the whole system of the maritime organization, and how it works between St. Lucia and Martinique. And so we are very excited about that. So it'll be a working holiday where hopefully we'll get to meet some of the youth and some of the organizations and see how best we can partner. We have a partnership currently in Uganda, in Mubende. Unfortunately, right now they're going through the Ebola crisis. So unfortunately, we won't be able to visit them until maybe mid next year. So we would think about doing something similar to that, supporting certain youth and then having Zoom meetings with them. Fortunately, we don't have the large time difference with St. Lucia as we have. It's 7 hours with Mubende, Uganda. So we can certainly look into that, and any organizations, Jawane, that you would think would we could meet each other's needs. It would be very, very nice to meet them. So that's what we're looking at in December, is to going back to St. Lucia and having a working holiday, getting to know the people a little bit more. It's so difficult to leave Mount Kalish because it's just joyful being there, you know, but we have to pull ourselves away from there so that we can get to meet more of the youth and the people there and kind of see what their needs are and what they may need us to do, you know, as people in the US that can perhaps support them in certain ways with certain ideas, if there's certain books that they need, or whatever, however it is. Perhaps that we have some St. Lucian youth that are interested in golfing. Perhaps we can start a program or extend the program that we have there. So I think that there's definitely a way that we can collaborate. And then there may be something that I haven't even thought of, but that someone watching this program may be interested in. We're certainly open to everything. We do not put ourselves in a box. We are kings and queens, God and goddesses in flesh. So we know that we can move forward through this earth in a very positive way.
You know, give thanks for that, Honorable Empress. And how dare you not join me when you have all these beautiful things to say to our family. You know, I want to invite those who are listening, especially those who are empowered and entrusted with power to act in the interest of the people, that here it is another opportunity, another offering through the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center and an extended link into our own network through the Love Our Nation organization and one of its co-founders, our beloved sister Empress Avril Dwyer, to bring something of value, to add some value to the family. And I'm inviting those people with that empowerment, whether it is in the government or a civic organization, the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Culture. We want to work, we want to collaborate, we want to be used and have reciprocity in the process. And therefore, again, we make this offering, not asking for anything, but welcoming the collaboration that can be of benefit to our people. You would never know if you saw our beloved Empress Avril walking on the street that she's a golfer. I don't have the first clue about golfing, right? In fact, I could give you a narrative on it, but it's something that some people full joy. And perhaps, you see, perhaps we could be producing out of St. Lucia the next great golfer. Yes? So let us create these opportunities. We have it on the table, an offering, a gift, if you will, coming from the Love Our Nation family. Yes? And by the way, our beloved Empress spoke about from the garden to the table as a project for youth to get into the agricultural intimacy, getting in touch with the ground and how food is grown. And these are some of the offerings that St. Lucia has taught me through the Honorable Priest Kalish and the Mount Kalish Rejuvenation Center. I got intimate with the earth there. He's a city man, a city me born and grow, Kingston. So I don't know anything about gardening. Didn't know it. But now I plant stinging nettle, I planting gully root, I planting my lettuce, my corn, my peas, my everything, my planting now. So I can have the restorative justice to myself. So that's another opportunity. Perhaps we can come into the schools, Mr. Minister of Education. We could get agri-science as one of the offerings and excite young people, see them watch things grow, and we get our plot and we engage the community. I can tell you and make a commitment that if ones who are empowered is committed to that process, so are I and I. So let us get it done. Empress Avril, I then give you the closing remarks, and I'm going to ask you to make the commitment openly now so that you can return with I and I in conversing with the family and then showing some practical deliverables that I and I can engage. You see on the screen, we have that young man showing his full poise and form as a golfer. All I'm seeing is a St. Lucian, a couple dozen St. Lucian young men who are golfers.
Yes.
Let us bring the programs to them. Let us make them see this is what we're talking about. Young people empowered to plant food and to show what that represents. Yes, and I know you have an after-school program. That is one of the offerings that we have created and is offering to the family in St. Lucia. We'll help with the after-school programs, the homework, etc. But it requires some level of formality so that we are not breaking the backs or usurping some authority or getting into somebody's space, because I realize people are very, very territorial. So we want to work in tandem, collaborating for the good of the people. And so, you know, as Sister Avril, Empress Avril suggested, there are great opportunities to just teach value, add value to the lives of our young people. The Love Our Nation is doing so in Florida, and certainly is doing it in parts of West and East Africa. And we welcome the opportunity to expand it right in our own region, in Lucia, that mitochondrial DNA that centers our humanity. As Empress Avril, you have the final words for the next minute or so. Give thanks again. Go forward.
Give thanks. I would like to clarify the golf because it's not only for the sport of golfing, but First Tee of Broward provides scholarships, academic scholarships to universities. So there are scholarships that are just there waiting for our children, and they're ready. So this is really a good thing for us, those that may not be able to afford university. This is an avenue other than just the avenues that they have allowed us to be in, which basketball and football. You know, we have golfers, we have tennis players, we have poets. You know, there's nothing that we as a people cannot achieve. So I would like to close with our pledge, which was written by Yeshembeth Harper. And so when we pledge, we always put our hand over our heart. So, and I think that it may be on our site. It's the Love Our Nation pledge. So our children say this when they first get to Love Our Nation and before they leave, because we like this to be a part of them. So when they become adults and they feel that they need something to boost them, then they will call upon these words. So the Love Our Nation pledge. From this day forward, I will always have a positive attitude, be kind and respectful to everyone that I meet. I will dress as a professional that I one day aspire to become. I understand that everything begins with me, and I accept full responsibility for all of my actions. Every day from the moment I wake up, I will make healthy food choices. School is my first priority because knowledge is power. I will always love myself. I will always love myself. Treat others the way I want to be treated and be the best that I can be. I, Avril, pledge to never give up. This is what our children say every day. And so I'll leave you with that, my Lord.
Iris will pledge that I will fight for the right and I will never run away from St. Lucia. My love. Honorable Empress Avril, you know, yes, love you, sis. Thank you for sharing moments with us. Thank you, St. Lucian family. Join us again in 7 days as I and I return with the Justice and Healing Initiative. And we will talk a little bit more about what 2023 the Justice and Healing 2023 looks like with people like our Honorable Empress Avril Dwyer, and certainly we have our foundational team, the Right Honorable Priest Kailash and the Right Honorable Empress Ethiopia, who are my family, and I make no apology for that. I love them. I love you, St. Lucia. Have a good, strong end. See you next time. 7 days or so. Blessed love, family. Give thanks.